So originally he had written the book and he had called the Count Wamper because Vamper was vampire. So it's Count Wamper. But he's like, Dracula's cooler. So he changed it to Count Dracula. And that was literally the only connection to Vlad the Impaler, which made me laugh about it being Count Wamper.
Count Wamper. Welcome back to Stuff That We Like / Enjoy, at least at this point in time. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Christina.
We're the Castanedas, and today we're talking about
Dracula.
Christina, what do you know about Dracula?
What are you doing?
What do you know about Dracula?
Okay, so we read the book Dracula in, was it April?
Yeah, it took us 32 days.
Yes, there we go. It didn't have to, but it did. It's not that crazy long of a book.
No.
So the book Dracula was written by Bram Stoker, who I looked up, and his full name is Abraham Stoker.
Oh.
But he thought so. The Bram
is cooler.
Yeah, Bram. He thought so too.
Okay.
So he was an Irish author, and he wrote the Gothic horror novel called Dracula in 1987.
Okay.
So very ahead of its time, I feel.
Yeah.
So a little bit about Bram.
Brahmy.
What do you think we should call him? Bram?
Probably Abraham, just to spite him. No, Bram.
He thought he was cool. All right. Yeah. So as a child, Bram was very sickly and he was bedridden for the first 7 years of his life. So his mother entertained him with telling him stories, including tales of horror and Irish folklore, which is believed to have influenced his later writings.
No crap.
Yeah. He made a remarkable recovery around age 7, ended up becoming a very strong athlete in his high school years, and he studied mathematics at Trinity College in Dublin, graduating with honors.
Okay.
So athletic, smart. In 1878, at the age of 30, he moved from Ireland to London to become a business manager for the famous actor Sir Henry Irving, who I'm sure you know.
Irving?
Irving.
Is it Irving?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds familiar, actually.
Yeah, so he was a very famous actor in the 1870s. So he moved to London and he toured with Sir Irving's theater company for nearly 30 years.
Wow.
As kind of the administrator and director of the theater company. And during this time, he wrote Dracula.
Okay.
It was published in 1897. It received mixed but generally positive reviews at the time and sold reasonably well, but was not like an immediate bestseller. So just kind of was like a good book at the time. Bram wrote several other novels and stories, such as The Snake's Pass, The Jewel of 7 Stars, but Dracula is his most famous work. He died on April 20th, 1912 in London at the age of 64.
1912.
Yeah, so pretty short life.
64, yeah, it's pretty young.
Yeah, he published Dracula, I think he was 50.
50.
Yeah, so his writing career was relatively short.
50, that makes sense because it's really well written. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I do have to praise it. It seems like it was written by somebody who had some years on him. Yeah,
a little bit older, and I can see him having, although he wasn't like theater background in the sense of being an actor, around kind of lots of storytelling, dramatizations, and also his mom just telling him horror stories while he's sick in bed.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a little bit about him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump into Dracula, the book itself. I'm going to give you an overview of the story. If you haven't read Dracula, pause this video.
Go read it.
Go read it in 18 hours because it's an audiobook on YouTube. And then come back here.
Yes. But likely we're not going to spoil much. It's kind of the general story of Dracula.
Yes. Well,
maybe.
I'm going to spoil the whole thing.
No, I meant most people know that Dracula was a vampire.
Oh, yeah. He's a vampire. I want to think of it. You know what I'm talking about.
Which he actually doesn't say in the book. I was very upset.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to drink. He doesn't say that?
No.
Oh, we just canceled the whole episode. I don't know why we're doing this. All right, so the story. Like Christina said, it is a Gothic horror novel published in 1897 by Irish author Bram Stoker. The whole thing is told through diary entries, letters, newspaper clippings, and a ship's log, interestingly enough. Multiple characters writing down what they're experiencing in real time, so no single narrator. You piece together what's happening at the same pace they do. So the story opens with a young English lawyer named Jonathan Harker traveling to Transylvania to help a wealthy nobleman named Count Dracula to purchase property in England. He arrives at the castle and everything seems fine at first. Dracula is educated, gracious, well-read, but the details start adding up. No servants, no mirrors anywhere. Dracula never eats, and no reflection in Jonathan's mirror when Jonathan was shaving. So Jonathan slowly realizes he's not a guest, he is a prisoner.
Oh no.
He eventually escapes. Meanwhile, Dracula ships himself to England inside a box of Transylvanian soil, arriving on a crewless ghost ship. He begins preying on a young woman named Lucy, who wastes away and eventually dies, and then has to be staked by the group hunting Dracula. So what I mean by staked there is a wooden stake through the heart. He then targets Mina. So Dracula targets Mina, who is Jonathan's wife. Now, Jonathan is from the beginning who stayed at Dracula's
He was the
castle.
lawyer that went and visited him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, let's see. The group, led by a Dutch professor named Van Helsing, who knows what Dracula is, pools their information, tracks his movements, and figures out his plan. The final act of the book is a race across Europe to intercept Dracula's body before it reaches his castle. So they catch him just outside the gates at sunset and kill him. So running parallel to all this is a patient in a psychiatric asylum named Renfield. He collects flies and feeds them to spiders. He feeds the spiders to sparrows, and he then
eats the sparrows.
He eats the sparrows. But he asked for a cat so the cat could eat the sparrows and they could eat the cat, but didn't get to the cat. So he's building a food chain, consuming life to absorb it, in order to become more like Dracula. But he eventually lets Dracula into the asylum, thinking Dracula will give him what he wants to become a vampire like Dracula. Mm-hmm. But he's very wrong and is killed in the process. So that's a really brief 10,000 foot overview of what happens. There's a lot of intricacy to the group that follows Van Helsing and who they are and what they're doing. But that's the long and short of what Dracula is.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that was a good synopsis. Yeah. I'd love to throw in some of my thoughts on the writing style.
Let's do it.
So I looked it up and it's called an epistolary novel. So like in the Bible, there's the epistles, the letters. So it's an epistolary novel. So it was very interesting because the entire book is a collection of over 100 letters, journal entries, telegrams, etc. So this was kind of fun at first because the only two characters were Dracula and Jonathan, the lawyer, which they never told why this London lawyer was in Transylvania to be this guy's lawyer. Did you catch that?
Yeah, he was there to help Dracula buy a house in London. So he was there to like tell him what the property looked like, how much it was going to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I obviously didn't catch that. Anyways, so it was really enjoyable at the beginning because there wasn't a lot. It was mainly just Jonathan's letters that you were writing back to his fiancée, Lucy.
Yes.
Describing who Dracula was and stuff. And then once Jonathan makes it back to London, it started being just a bunch of different people's journal entries, things like that. And it got a little bit confusing to me personally because especially since I was listening on audiobook, it would be like Van Helsing's diary, March 8th. Yeah. And then you would hear from Van Helsing's perspective, something going on. But unless you really remembered who was talking 8 pages later, I'm like, who's narrating this?
Yes.
So I would get a little bit lost at times. That would, of course, be solved if you're reading it physically because you could just flip back. But I think by the end, Bram Stoker got maybe a little bit, tired with the idea because instead of it being like, Lucy's like, oh, last night I woke up and there was smoke coming through the windows and I don't know what this will be. I will pray and write again in the morning. It started turning into like, somebody writing down entire conversations.
Yeah.
Where instead of it being like Van Helsing's like, yeah, so I talked to Jonathan last night and we decided that, man, we need to take this Dracula guy out. It was like just the conversations back and forth.
Yeah.
In a way that would be impossible to do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So halfway through, I'm like, oh, I think he's just, because Van Helsing, who was the Dutch professor or scientist. Yeah. He was the author of a lot of the letters we were reading. For a minute, I'm like, oh, I think it's just him now. But it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so it was a fun concept, but by the end of 18 hours, it got just a little bit confusing.
Yes.
Did you feel that?
It was a little bit confusing. I felt more that it was a little bit tiring, because it seemed like, you're right, he started getting away from the narrative part of a letter being written and more just into telling a story.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But you got to choose one or the other.
Yes.
And again, I don't know how the writing was back then. Maybe this is pretty common. Maybe people were really into this. But I do wish he would have just picked one and really stayed with it. But it seemed like towards the end, he just wanted to kind of tell the story itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of lost the authenticity of being told through letters and diary entries. But it was a really cool concept overall.
Oh, man. At the beginning is my favorite part with Jonathan.
Because there's only two people.
Yes.
So it would make sense for Jonathan to be writing back to his fiance. I was talking to this guy, Dracula, and that made sense.
Yeah. It was really, really fun.
Yeah. That's cool. I wrote down some of my favorite quotes.
Let's go.
From the book.
That's awesome.
There was Van Helsing, who was the professor, whose full name's actually Abraham Van Helsing.
Hey.
Which is, Bram was like, I'm going to sneak my name in there.
Yeah.
We learn from failure, not from success.
It's a good one.
That's a good one. That seems pretty, typical. Another one, because Dracula would come and suck people's blood in the night. So there was this kind of terror over London, which was kind of fun. They're like, I went to Piccadilly today. I'm like, we've stood on those streets. It just was kind of interesting imagining it being like,
Victorian times,
yeah. No man knows till he suffered from the night how sweet and dear to his heart and his eyes the morning can be.
That's beautiful.
I thought that was nice.
Well written.
And then, the blood is the life. One of Dracula's few lines. The blood is the life. I liked this because throughout the book, Bram used a ton of Christian language.
Yeah.
All the characters were Christians and would pray or ask God for help. And there was lots of use of, interestingly, I looked at Bram was a Protestant, but he used lots of Catholic language. So they would use like the Eucharist, crucifixes, holy water, kind of things like that. But definitely, in the Bible that the blood was a very important kind of concept. So that Dracula, who's this wicked evil, against goodness, was like, he knew that there was life in the blood. Yeah. And then my last favorite quote was, euthanasia is an excellent and comforting word. I'm grateful to whoever invented it. And that was one of the characters, Lucy. She, Dracula comes to her bedroom and like makes her like nurse blood from him.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was really
weird.
gross.
Yeah.
And so she's in the process of like almost becoming a vampire. And so she's decided that before I become a vampire, I'm just going to kill myself.
Yeah.
And so Dr. John was like, said, euthanasia is a good word. Like he's
like thankful for it.
Glad for that concept. I'm like, that is extremely wild sentence. So yeah, here's some of my favorite quotes.
Love that.
Did you have anything else that stood out to you?
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts here on the book. I really thought the opening was the strongest part. Like
Definitely.
Jonathan at Dracula's castle, specifically the scene where Jonathan looks out his window and sees Dracula crawling face down, head first, down the outside of the castle wall.
Yeah.
Like a gecko almost. Like the way he described his cloak spreading around him. It's just like, I don't know. It was just so spooky. Because before that, all you're getting are hints. Yeah. We haven't even fully considered what Dracula is until that point. And then he describes him crawling out of his castle window, and Jonathan's watching him from afar.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that was
some really cool imagery. Yeah.
Yeah. On top of that, I loved Renfield. He was definitely the most interesting character.
He was the guy in the psych ward, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
some weird stuff.
Dude, it was crazy when you found out that Renfield was feeding flies to spiders, spiders to sparrows, and then wanted to feed or whatever bird that was to a cat.
Yeah.
In order to eat the cat and get the powers of all of the human life that had been ingested within that cat. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
What a cool character.
And he was like asking, can I have a kitten? Can I have a kitten? And they're like, we can get you a cat. He's like, even better.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Like, what the heck?
Creepy.
And he doesn't, like, after they find out what he's doing, he doesn't stop.
Mm-mm.
Like, he keeps eating spiders that eat flies. Like, he keeps a bunch of flies and then feeds them to a spider and eat the spider.
Yeah, there was like one line where they walk in and he has like feathers sticking out of his mouth.
Yeah.
The thing is, the only thing I thought Renfield was a very interesting character, but there was no explanation for why he was the way he was and how he was like connected to Dracula. Like,
I must have missed that too. Yeah.
Well, I looked it up and they said he just is there.
Okay.
Yeah. There's also no explanation of like how Dracula became Dracula.
Yeah.
So that was just interesting. There wasn't an origin there, but Renfield was fun.
Renfield was a great character.
Yeah.
The ending, and this is probably my biggest gripe with Dracula. It started out pretty strong, and then it went on for a long time. The ending is just about this group of vampire killers chasing down Dracula's body, which is being transported on a ship back to his castle because they had basically kicked him out of London. And so the whole ending of the book is them just chasing this guy
for like 2 hours. I think it was like 4 or 5 chapters.
It was crazy long. So that's my only note to Bram, brother Bram, is he could have shortened that a little bit.
Yes.
But it's a small gripe, you know, that in the writing style. These, you know, we make it sound, or I make it sound like I was super annoyed with it, but not really. They're small gripes. I think it was a great, well-written book with an intelligent story. But those are the two things I would say is the pacing at the end and the way it was written. Nice.
Yeah, that's some good thoughts. I have a couple more during the content before I get to the ending, but it was kind of cute. Van Helsing, he would call the doctor, whose name was John, friend John. So like, he's like, friend John, you know, all the time. And he's writing that down. But it was confusing because we have Jonathan and then we have friend John, who's the doctor. And I would confuse them quite a bit, Jonathan and John. But I thought that was cute. And then Van Helsing, he was very poetic in the way he talked about people. So Mina, which ends up being Jonathan's wife, one thing he said about her, she has a man's brain. He was like, oh, she's smart. She can think well. And then Jonathan, he was kind of sick for a while because he was almost turned into a vampire. Yeah. And he was like, he would cry much like a hysterical woman. So there was definitely some, you know, gender stereotyping like, oh, Mina, you know, she has a man's brain and her husband cries like a hysterical woman.
Yes.
Just kind of that whole, even how in the Count of Monte Cristo, just people were fainting and crying all the time. Yeah. It was kind of that way.
Yeah.
One of the most shocking moments was Lucy. So she was, which added into the confusion of characters, this girl, Lucy, who had 3 suitors come to meet her.
Yeah.
Who wanted to marry her. So we've got this Southern American guy and these 2 other people. So I'm like, who's who? And she ends up getting engaged to one of them. But then Dracula, unbeknownst to us, is coming in and feasting on her blood at night. So she dies, but she's not really dead.
Yeah.
She's coming out and like kidnapping children in the night. Mm-hmm. So they go and dig up her grave during the day.
Yeah.
Because during the night, she's not there.
Well, they go to her tomb.
Yeah.
Specifically. So she's not buried. She's in a tomb.
Rather than a grave.
Yes.
Okay, same thing to me.
Okay.
An above ground grave.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's buried above ground.
I guess so.
Okay.
In stone. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. But her fiance, because she chose one of the 3 guys, cuts her head off. And then they shove garlic in her mouth and sew it shut.
Yeah.
Because garlic apparently is a good vampire deterrent. But I'm like, wow, that was pretty shocking.
Definitely the most shocking part.
But I had one more comment on, I think the only, other than kind of losing the pacing near the end, I didn't love that there wasn't like, which I guess I don't know how there would be an origin story unless like we have a letter from Dracula or something. But Dracula is very present in the first 4 chapters. And then he's not present at all almost for the rest of the entire book.
Yeah.
He only has one little short speech in chapter 23. And other than that, he's not there. And they're chasing, apparently he gets energy by touching dirt from Transylvania. So he had shipped boxes of dirt from Transylvania. And so he's laying in this coffin full of dirt being shipped back to Transylvania.
Yeah.
So they're chasing him for like ever. And they pop the lid off and stake him in the heart and he's dead.
Yeah.
And so I was expecting there to be this big fight or this like final war, but it's pretty much like we hear about Dracula at the beginning. He's just this like, he's kind of there in the background in the sense of like, oh, people are disappearing or dying, but we don't like ever see him or hear from him, or there's not ever like a fight. It's like, we found you, pop the coffin off, you're dead. And so, and then his body just crumbles to dust. Yeah. And so it was, I don't know, I kind of the last hour or two, I was like, okay, let's wrap this thing up. It just got a little exhausting. And I was like, for a book about Dracula, there's very little Dracula in it. Very little vampires.
Well, I think that's the issue with these classics is that we go into them with such high hopes. And because we've heard about our whole lives, we're like, this is going to be all about this one character.
Right.
It's going to be in it the whole time, but we don't know the actual origin.
Right.
Or sorry, we don't know the actual story itself.
Exactly.
So like, I think those expectations we go in with are so high for this being such a classic, and then to have the main character not even be in there.
Right.
Excuse me. For most of the book is like such a letdown in a weird way.
Yeah, and I've watched very little Dracula movies. I've seen Hotel Transylvania, which the animated show, which Dracula is a part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Or Renfield with
that's great.
Who is that? Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage.
And Dracula's in it the whole time.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I thought it was going to be about Dracula.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I on the other hand have seen like so much Dracula.
Okay, yeah, I haven't.
I love Dracula movies. But yeah, I fully expect this to have more of him in it.
Yeah.
There's a cool narrative piece around Dracula, but not
very
necessarily
interesting.
with him in it.
Yeah. So I think overall, I really enjoyed the book.
Yeah.
It was a cool concept, the way it was written. Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts about it?
Yeah, I think that the only other thing I would say is that it was a little bit less scary than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, but we got to consider this was written, like 1897? And so back then, I bet it was truly frightening.
Right. And also, it can only be so scary as the concept of if I'm narrating, I'm like, and then Dracula flings open the doors and his teeth, appear and he creeps towards Lucy and attacks her. That's scary. But if I'm like, March 8th, Van Helsing's diary.
Yeah.
Last night, Lucy says that she was attacked by Dracula.
Yeah.
It can only be so scary if it's letters, was my thought. Because you're not
that's
in
a
the
great way to put
moment,
it.
you're reading what already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely an element of that, but I also think it's that we have such crazy horror movie expectations these days.
Suspense,
and horror movie
thriller,
stories.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think that our expectations are just way out of this world compared to where these people were back in the 1800s. But I would say if I lived back then, this would probably be one of the scariest things I'd ever heard or read.
No, it was very cool.
Props for when it was written for sure.
Yeah.
But a little bit tame for where we are now. So take that as you will.
That's cool.
Overall, I'm going to give it a rating out of 10.
Okay.
So from 1 to 10, I will give it a 7. Because I thought it was solid.
Yeah.
Do you not like that?
No, I do. I'm just actually thinking. No, I agree with that. That's good.
Just kidding.
Yeah, no, I think I'd put it at a 7 too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should come up with like 4 categories or something like that to rate it in.
Yeah.
Did you like it better than Count of Monte Cristo?
No.
Yeah.
Count of Monte Cristo still takes the cake.
Yeah.
It's long. It's way longer.
Yeah.
But I think
Like 3 times as long or something.
I think the narrative is better than Dracula for sure. So I think that one probably gets like an 8.5 in my head.
Yeah, that was a good book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And right now we're reading Moby Dick, so
we'll see.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Which is written in an interesting style as well. Mm-hmm. I like that.
What do you think, baby?
Well, I would think I'd put it at a 7 as well.
Okay.
I liked it for the concept of just kind of the style it was written in, and definitely felt very ahead of its time. And I don't know, the way they described what was happening, drew you in, which was cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I think I liked Count of Monte Cristo better.
Yeah.
But both had, decently good endings. So the good guys win in the end. Mm-hmm. I always like that. Not too many people died. Well, I guess in Count of Monte Cristo, like everyday died practically.
Tons of people died. That.
One thing though, because you had done an episode, which is what kind of spurred the idea for us to do like dictators of history, is that you did an episode on Vlad the Impaler a couple months ago, which you had mentioned that Dracula was kind of based on Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah.
Who was a Romanian, I don't know what you would call him, vicious guy.
Yeah, very vicious king.
So I looked up because I was like, I don't know how this connects at all to Dracula. So I looked it up and it said that Bram Stoker used the name Dracula because of Vlad the Impaler, but nothing else
Really?
connected to Vlad the Impaler. So apparently Stoker writes that he was researching in a library and he read a book by William Wilkerson that was written on Moldavia and Romania, just kind of the country of Romania and Moldova. And there was a brief mention of this guy named Vlad the Impaler, who was from the Order of the Dragon, was kind of their crest.
Yeah.
So dragon, Dracula was how it was translated in their language. It's called Wallachian language, whatever they spoke in Romania back then. So he copied this line from the book that says Dracula in the Wallachian language means devil. So originally he had written the book and he had called the Count Wamper because Vamper was vampire. So it was Count Wamper. But he's like, Dracula's cooler. So he changed it to Count Dracula. And that was literally the only connection to Vlad the Impaler, which made me laugh about it being Count Wamper.
Count Wamper. Count Wamper is not sucking blood. Count Wamper is a clown at a kid's party.
Right. Which in the book I found interesting. They did mention vampires a couple times, and sometimes they would say a vamper, therefore the Wamper name. But they mainly called them the undead. But I just thought that was hilarious that the book was originally Wamper.
That's hilarious.
Count Wamper. And then
catch.
It was Count Dracula. So I looked it up. They said it's a common misconception that he did base the name off of Vlad the Impaler.
You see?
But not off of the person.
That's great. We're doing corrections on our own stuff. That's how much stuff we have going on. Good job.
Thank you.
That was well.
But I just love that. Count Wamper.
Count Wamper. I hardly know her.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So overall, I'd encourage you guys to give it a listen.
Yeah.
Or a read.
Or a read.
It'd probably be more understandable if you read it. Just because of the style of it being like 100 letters.
Yeah. Try giving it a read and tell us how it goes.
Yeah. Cool. Any last thoughts?
Nope.
Yeah. And if you guys have any suggestions for us we're currently reading Moby Dick. And I think we'll finish that up in the next couple weeks. But for our next book, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Hit us up at stuffthatwelikepodcast@gmail.com. Lastly, on this podcast, we like to recommend something to our lovely stuffies out there. Christina, what do you recommend?
What do I recommend? That was a funny way of saying that. I would recommend first thing when you get up, drink like 16 ounces of water, like 2 glasses of water. We dehydrate overnight. Yeah. And I don't like having to get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I usually do. So I try and stop drinking a little earlier in the day. So you're pretty dehydrated by the time you wake up. So it's a good way to get your body moving and energized. Drink some water. And then you'll feel more motivated to do the rest of life.
Totally.
Yeah.
Definitely agree.
And make your bed.
Yes. Make your bed. Man, That's a good one. What made you think of drinking water?
Well, I can tend to not do that when I wake up,
Okay.
like get up and just kind of putter around, or I'll even start working out, but I'm sipping water along the way, but I feel so much better when I just, down. Like this morning we went for a long run, and before we did, I drank like a whole entire bottle of water before we started working out, and I just felt a lot better.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Thank you.
Mine would be to go on a walk with your wife or husband. We do little.
What if you don't have one?
Well, get a boyfriend or girlfriend.
There we go.
It isn't up to me to get them married. It's up to me to tell them what to do.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, that's something we've been doing the last, I don't know, for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Not every day. We try to do it most days, but usually ends up happening 3 or 4 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always like a really calming thing to just walk through your neighborhood, get some sunlight, talk through life, what's going on with you guys. It can't do anything but help for the most part.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you get into a raging fight, 10 minutes down the road, but
Then maybe don't go walk anymore.
no, I think that's good. Yeah, to get up and go on 15-minute walk a day, just to be
Yes.
outside.
Yeah.
There's, not as many distractions. Just kind of walk around. It's good.
Totally. Because I think the amount of time you spend together is important, but a lot of that time could be spent on your phones right next to each other.
Right.
So getting outside, looking at nature, just walking your neighborhood is always, I think it's 99% of the time, it's going to be a good thing for your relationship. So
Love that.
give it a shot.
It's a good recommend.
Yeah.
All right.
Last thing on this podcast, we like to tell you to contact us with questions, concerns, or new topics or corrections at.
Stuff that we like podcast at gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Instagram at.
See Joyfully and Caleb C Media.
And this podcast you can follow on Instagram at.
Stuff that we like podcast.
Awesome. Nicely done.
Thank you.
I also write music. I shoot video and I shoot photography. So if you need any of that done, hit me up at calebmcastaneda@gmail.com. It'll be in the show notes. I think that's all we got.
And I don't currently write music or shoot video, so don't hit me up.
Don't hit Christina up. Unless you're telling her you're not going to hire her.
Yes,
for
you can
any
give
of
me
that.
money.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Unless you're giving Christina random money.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, this has been Stuff That We Like podcast. Stuff that we like, at least this pint. Wow.
Whoa.
This has been Stuff That We Like / enjoy, at least at this point in time. And we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.